Okay. Yeah. A brief statement. Yeah. Certainly a rough way to finish this season, and don't have a ton to say about the game right now. I want to talk about our exiting seniors that believed in us and helped grow this program to this year. And I just finished celebrating with them in the locker room on what they've achieved in their life as a football player. So, that's kind of where my focus is now after the game. We'll have a lot of time to peel back the layers of how do we grow the program to compete with the South Florida, and that's the goal. But for right now, I spent the last 15, 20 minutes just hugging our seniors who played their last football game in a Rice uniform, and letting them know that there's no doubt that they set a foundation for the future of this program. The program grew this year, and it doesn't feel like that right now, but without question, I know it did. So, I'll stop right there and now kind of open it up to you guys for questions.
Can I ask you about one of those seniors in specific? They all played a big role, but Andrew Alway, a guy who kind of walked on and has a long journey to get to where he's got. How huge was he this year, 100 tackles for this season in this game?
Well, I don't think you can put a price tag on what Alway meant to our program to this season. And I said that, one of the things I said in there, I was so grateful for the guys that said, hey, I want to be a Rice Owl with you, Coach Abell, whether it's the guys who've been here 6 months or the guys who've been here 6 years. And when you want to know who the best of us is, it's Andrew Alway, right? He represents us in the classroom, in the community, and certainly on the football field day in and day out. And, came in as a walk-on. I did not have the privilege to know him then, but I have the privilege to know him as a scholarship player, which is what he is. And he's professional. He's humble. He's incredibly intelligent. And so, whatever Alway does with his future, right, he's going to make everybody proud. And so, I appreciate the question about him, and there's just not enough words or the right words to really describe how special he is.
You talked about some of those individuals. I know you have plenty of time to get to the film room and dissect X's and O's, but when you think about this team, the 2025 Rice season, what will stand out to you? How will you remember it?
Well, you always reflect on year one, and you ask yourself the question, hey, did we set the culture? That's got to be a primary goal. And so without question, we did. If you were, for everyone that was in the locker room just now, you understood that we've set a culture of brotherhood. You set a culture to build on that, right? So I'll remember that. I'll also remember, when we reflect, we'll say, okay, we can compete with, the middle layer of this league and down, and the very top of this league, that we got some growing to do to get there, right? When you talk about the likes of Memphis, South Florida, North Texas. When we talk about programs like that, right, we've got to grow to get there. But when you look at the middle layer, we show we can step on the field and compete right now with a very young, inexperienced roster in year one that was learning a lot as they went. So I take a lot of confidence from that, right? But the goal is to compete at the top. So, now, we'll see what comes tomorrow, and I know there's a slight hope that, maybe there is a bowl opportunity for his team. We'll see, and I hope there is, because I want the opportunity to continue to coach them, to grow the program, and I hope we get that chance. But if we don't, then the opportunity to get in the offseason and really help that program grow to take the next step. And, the next step for us is right forward. That we've got to, grow in a way that now we have the capability to compete with the likes of those three programs I mentioned. And there's a lot of things that goes into that, and that's stuff we can get into in the offseason.
And then how do you kind of evaluate this season when setting out, you wanted to get to a bowl game, you knew that would be a stretch given the obstacles y'all faced in year one. How do you, in terms of considering a success or how close y'all got, how do you kind of evaluate that?
Well, I think you evaluate to say, hey, did the program move forward? Did it grow? And we did, and we've said this before. The odds makers had us win, I think, 3 games. We won 5. You want more than that. So if everybody wants me to say, hey, we're happy with that, I'm not. So I don't, where we'll find how do we rate success this year will be when we really evaluate how we grew, and then are we ready to take the next step for the program, okay? And, the next step is to compete with these teams. And, when you show flashes of it, you get excited, but that's all we did this year against this top tier. We showed a flash here or there. We showed a quarter here or there. We got to play 4 quarters. And so we got to get back to the development time, which this program desperately needs. We need development time in the off season. We need to continue to build a roster, and I'm excited about doing that. Looking forward to doing that.
Some of those teams that you mentioned that are at the top of the American this year are teams that have been in a similar place as Rice in past years. Do you think you can use some of those American Conference teams as kind of a framework for how you approach this offseason, like the growth that you're looking to achieve?
Well, but to grow somewhere and to build, you have to understand, what's the end goal look like. I mean, so they've shown us this year, right? When you look at South Florida tonight and you look at North Texas last week, there are programs that really the last couple of years haven't been easy for them, and they turned the page and turned the corner and grew. And so that's your measuring stick now, and that's what the rest of our league, right, is measuring themselves against. And so we're no different, right? And so now we know what the bar is, and it's our job and our goal now to go to work in every phase of the program. When we talk about the development phase, the recruiting phase, the growing phase, and find the way to get there.
And then I know you're talking about growth. Can you talk about Chase's growth this season? I know it's been brought up a few times throughout the year, but just what you saw from him now that the year is over in terms of ascending into this offense, putting his body on the line several times tonight.
Well, I think that's the thing I'm most proud of Chase is his toughness that really he exemplified throughout the year, and I think that was on display each and every week. I'm very proud of him that way. He started, all 12 games for us in a system that, at times, the program wasn't quite ready for personnel-wise, but he gave an opportunity, and he did, I think, a really admirable job of diving in, wanting to be good at it, believing in the system, and helping it grow, right? And so, but we got a long ways to grow with that, and Chase knows that, and looking forward to now catching our breath, evaluating that, and how we're going to grow with Chase and the rest of the offense.
Anything else, guys? Thank you.
Hey, appreciate you guys all year. I do. And anybody listening out there, I appreciate our fan support and our Rice family. Go Owls.